Hey everybody, welcome to the On Sunday podcast. We're back!
Did you miss us? I hope so.
No, based on the view numbers, you did not miss us.
No, not really.
My name is Clayton. I'm the lead pastor here at TNLC, and
I'm Chael Brandon. I'm the executive director here at TNLC.
And so what we do on the Beyond Sunday podcast is help take your faith beyond Sunday and into your everyday life. Now, even though we are recording this on Monday, we are publishing it on Tuesday. So we initially used to publish on Monday, then we publish on Tuesday, Monday. We've been in a Monday rhythm, and now it's Tuesday. Chill, why is it Tuesday?
It's Tuesday because we want you guys to pause on Mondays.
That's right.
I thought you said that's right. I figured you were going to
right into the groove.
Wow, guys, it's been a few weeks, huh? No, we're pausing on Mondays in order. We have found personally and as a staff, we have found just all of the noise that is happening because everything is digital these days that it's time to just take a pause, like to turn off the devices, to not have one more thing that we have to do on a particular day of the week. And as a church, so not just church federal TNLC level, but our kids department, our students department, all of our communication fields are all taking Monday as just a pause day I always tell my kids that mom can be the bad guy, like in all the situations. If you ever don't want to do something, you can say, my mommy says I can't. And that's the, so this is the TNLC. Okay. Like if you've got students and kids who are like, yeah, but I have to, you're like, yeah, but you know what? The church isn't even doing anything today. So you can't do it. It kind of gives you guys as a family that opportunity to just unplug and pause and all the noise and things that we're hearing.
Right. And what everybody's talked about this, that during this pandemic, some people's schedules have become way busier. Some people, a few people have stayed the same. And then other people's, it's all kinds of shifted around and can go in waves. Like we have a Monday morning prayer meeting that we have switched to Zoom. And then I did that one from home because it's like the last day. I was chilly.
Cool outside.
And then I went on.
I almost was like, are you okay? And I was like, oh no, it's a nice day outside. I'm willing to bet. Sure enough, he was on the patio.
And then I channeled my inner CJ Johnson and went on a 10-mile, I think almost a 10-mile bike ride. Wow. And there was just one point where I was just like, look at the colors. And it is one of those, like, this is not a good thing, but you hope that good things can come out of it. I came home and the weather was just so nice. And I was like, I mandate that Caroline must do something outside today. I was like, it's too nice. But that is why we're doing this. We're trying to create this rhythm where I don't want you to feel like you're missing out on something that we have here with TNLC, and you're not. There's no, we're still going to give you our devotionals in the morning. We're not producing content on Mondays, and we hope that you take that, not just that you don't consume content or go on social media. Other than like listening to music and podcasts, I'm trying to stay away from my device as much as I possibly can on Mondays, and trying to be on devices. Like the book I'm reading right now is on a Kindle, so it's not like I'm going to be like so legalistic that I can't read it, but I'll make sure that my notifications are muted on that so that I don't get interrupted with it.
Before I even left this morning to come to the office, I told everybody, I was like, hey, my phone's just on Do Not Disturb. And my family can call me. They know that Do Not Disturb doesn't affect anybody in your favorites on my phone. So my family, I'm like, if you need me, call me. Don't send me a text, because I'm just trying to eliminate all of the, wait, what's happening? What do I have to do? Where do I have to do? Like all of those types of things on a Monday. Mostly because our Mondays, we have staff work, but it is a very focused, get the to-do list ready for the week anyway, that it was a lot easier for me personally to just be like, yes, this is the day that I do want to just unplug.
So let's dive into the message a little bit. This past week, we were in week 2 of spring cleaning. I was going to say spring training.
Spring training again?
Nope, there is no spring training. Sports don't exist. Actually, this was like the first sporting
watched draft ever.
Draft.
Everyone is so desperate.
All you did was watch 3 days of Zoom calls.
Yep.
You got so tired of Zoom calls, and what you did was we turned Zoom into a television show. But very interesting moves by the Bucs. I think good drafting. I really would have liked the J.K. Dobbins kid from Ohio State. But apparently that safety they got in the second round is real good. And they have needed offensive tackle help since the Bucs were created, other than those few years where we had Paul Gruber.
But they have nothing to do with spring training
or spring
cleaning. Sorry, that was my buddy trail. I threw you under.
Yeah, and so talking about the unresolved, uncleaned out parts of our own lives, and what does that look like? And we kicked off by asking and actually getting a chance to share about some of the spring cleaning that people have been doing.
So much.
Have you done any?
No.
Really?
I've been a little busy.
Reorganize your
around
file
here.
taxonomy
I have
on Dropbox or anything
I have
like that?
completely redesigned the way church looks like in the. Does that count? Like digital? Like that's. I go home and I'm like, I'm just gonna sleep. Now my family has done various projects and things here and there. Hannah completely reorganized my pantry for me. Jake cleaned out like Tupperware. Like they've been doing stuff, but no.
Saturday was another day of projects, cleaned out. I shifted a bunch of stuff around, and then I don't think it was Saturday. It was Sunday when Kelly was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go rake the leaves out back," and I was like, "Okay, great." And she's like, "Can you just come pick them, like get them up?" And I was like, "Well, that's gonna take 4 hours." so she put in about an hour and a half more than me, but then yeah, getting the leaves up is not as enjoyable. So there's been a lot of projects. She finished that off today. We cleaned out the bookshelves, which then led to me organizing all of our cables. So now there's a Thunderbolt lightning drawer or box.
Every single person
Then
on the
there's the
music and
brick.
production team just went, Clayton, reorganize cables. I am shocked right now.
Yeah, watch the video again, Chris. And then one for USB-Cs or USB, or not USB-C, USB 2, which I tested some of those because I feel like, again, music and media, the reason I have to do that is because we keep the bad cables around. Literally was told the other day, yeah, we think that cable's bad. And I go, did you throw it out? They go, no.
No,
I was like, what are we doing?
that wasn't music and production.
That wasn't music and production. It was production and New Life students.
There you go.
Students directors. But so the message this weekend, we started off by talking about what's our foundational identity in Christ last week, Philippians chapter 3, because that gives us the framework that we look and use to answer kind of every decision around us. This week we dove into this idea that feelings follow, using Philippians chapter 4 verses 8 and 9 as our main verses, kind of dividing up between that the soul is made up of our thoughts, our actions, and our feelings or emotions. I talked about how if we can fix our thoughts and put into practice, is what Paul says in Philippians 4, then the God of peace, and that's where peace comes from.
Yeah.
So
that was really good. I think, well, one, that was a really good recap, but it was a moment where we've been living in a world, we've been living in a society for so long where we've talked about like personality types and all these types of things, and being able to see how the personality along with the way that we're thinking, the way that our behavior, like the things we actually do, put your hands to, and those types of the actions part was just a very full picture, I thought. And so, as opposed to, I feel like we hear a lot of messages that will talk about one of those three areas, but doesn't
how
push.
do they interrelate together?
Yeah, but how they actually, how when you take your actions and your thoughts, that how your feelings have to follow that, because we're designed to be in unity with ourselves, or we're not designed to be in all these different types of areas. That to have that kind of discussion, I definitely, in our chat and during our live stream services, people in our chat going, oh yeah, oh, this was good. I have to remember that if I want to feel a specific way, like if my thoughts and my behaviors can start there, that the feelings will follow, was just a great, probably I think that was probably one of your best sermons on just the idea of emotional health and how to get our emotions and stuff really in line there. But from a perspective, what about this particular sermon? Because this was asked. What about this particular sermon did you feel was most important when we're talking about spring cleaning? Does that question make sense?
It does.
Okay.
I was not prepped for it.
You were not.
In the tiniest bit.
Nope.
Why? What part of this? I think it is the continual reminder that we are not subject to our feelings. That we like, because what I was trying to communicate in the message, this is my default, is I do this with so I give my arms some place to go.
Your toes.
And my toes are up.
Are your toes in the shot? I can't see. Anyways, go ahead.
That here's how I feel. So I'll give you an example. I loathe Sundays now. They are so. I heard a pastor say one time, he spoke to a lot of NFL teams, and he would say to them, like his opening was, there is nothing more irrelevant than an ex-athlete. And he would go back around and go, there is nothing more irrelevant than an ex-athlete. So who are you going to be when this is done? And it was kind of like this statement. And I was just thinking about it on Sunday. I was like, maybe the only other most irrelevant thing is a preacher without a pulpit. Like, I just was like, what are we doing? But I have gotten better over the last few weeks at recognizing, here is how I am feeling. Because I am feeling this, I can have this tendency to act or speak in this particular way. So let me recognize my feelings. I'm trying to name and understand where my feelings are coming from. And because of that, I can kind of orient in a different direction. Like, I know how I might feel. So then I'm more quick to recognize that feeling. So then I'm much quicker to cut off kind of giving into it and going, okay, but what are the truths? Well, my performance on a Sunday was never what was going to make God love me or not love me. So I can't use that as my own, I can't use that as my identity. Okay, that's a reminder. So what can I do? Did I pray? Was I in the Word today? Do I need to be more active in the chat? Or do I need to step away and kind of not be there? And so like this past Sunday, I was doing projects. My dog has no concept of our service times and always wants to go on a walk during services. So because I have preached the message, been at the recording for the music team, edited the video, I've seen it and I preached. I've seen it and I've heard it at that point. So I want to make sure we try to watch the 8:30 service as a family, and then Kelly moderates 10 o'clock. So I will be more recognizable and more able to name the emotion that I'm feeling. And then I go, okay, well, what is the truth or what's the lie behind that? So I can start contradicting that with truth, and then go, what are some habits or practices? What do I need to do? A lot of times that is on a Sunday, I feel like I'm not doing anything helpful. So then I will clean out the garage, or I don't need to clean out the garage. My garage is always fantastic. That's the one place. Or I will go, all right, I was going to go take a long bike ride on Sunday. I ended up doing that today. I was like, let me do something like that to kind of break me out of that and not sit there and wait for my feelings to change, or go, oh, since my feelings have put me here, I'm now stuck here. There's a way that I'm trying to move away from that. Old, young, every demographic of people I have found, we have an overwhelming tendency to go, this is how I feel. These are my emotions right now. So this is where I'm stuck until things change. And it is absolutely fine. This is what we talked about, like in the first part of the fix your thoughts, but fix them.
Right.
Like both take the broken and make it right, but also fix it. I mean, when we just set up this camera to do this tripod, it was like starting to wobble a little bit. It's like, no, fix it. Like tighten it, screw it down, make it sure that it is focused in the right direction, and don't let things just passively happen.
And I think that goes to saying even to the fixing our thoughts, and then giving yourself those next steps for the actions as well. Making sure that that's clear. It's not, I have just seen a lot, obviously on social media, because that's the only way that, we talk to anybody these days. But you see a lot of the, I'm feeling like this, I'm doing like this. And people will very quickly, I do feel as though people are quick to call out some of their feelings and be able to be like, oh, well, don't, this will pass. Don't think that. Like, you'll see people encouraging, and I feel like that's step one. But then there's what can we do in place? Like, not just fix the thoughts, but then set an action step to it. When I think this, I will say, I will do, I will move. That was the other part, just in talking about the three areas and how we get these feelings to follow. And again, that's very much my personality a little bit more. I want an action step. I want to know where, not just how we can fix this, but how I want to be, in order for me to name my feelings, I have to, like you said, figure out what the lie is that I'm listening to first, and then fix that
Why am I
thought.
frustrated?
Why am I frustrated? Fix that thought, fix that moment, and then be able to say, okay, in order to not have these feelings, or in order to counteract these, when I have this thought, then I need to get up and go for a run. That tends, especially, I was not running pre-COVID very much, and then I was foolishly tricked into helping keep a very lovely person accountable in her running, and I was like, sure, I'll run too. And now I'm like, crap, if she's doing it, I have to do it
I'm
too.
trying to work back into like one day a week doing distance running, and I'm just cracked 3 miles. I was like, I used to be able to do 5. Like I just, boy, this has been a long time.
I only do distance. So, but I found that myself in this season, this area of time that we found, like, I found how quickly that in order to fix my thoughts, I needed to like the pounding of my feet on a pavement was enough of a physical action to help reiterate, like, fix the thoughts, to give me an opportunity to pray, to give me an opportunity to go through this. And then I hit better numbers on miles and distances. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this.
Right, because putting the pattern into place, sometimes you do need to have, again, one of the things I said in the message is you need to read before you need the word. You need to pray before you need to hear the voice. So you've got those patterns in place. But sometimes when you're talking about, like, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I can't preach. Well, the pattern or the behavior that I need to put with that is not always, hey, go out to the street corner and preach. When you're craving like sweets at night, you don't always have to be like, no, let me replace that with an apple. Like sometimes you just do 5 push-ups.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be, like, you can have these learned patterns and triggers.
That's good.
And it doesn't always have to be this exact, like, I miss people, so let me Zoom or let me FaceTime, which, by the way, if you've tried to do a multiple person FaceTime, have you ever watched it?
Do you not feel seasick?
Oh, it is the dumbest thing ever.
One time, and I will never do it again. We're like, nope, we'll figure something else out.
Holy cow, that was I was like, I'm so glad my parents don't have iPhones and we're forced to use Facebook Messenger. It was so bad.
I try to figure out if you can turn, if you don't know, the
just
bubbles
bounces
move.
all around.
So whoever's talking gets a little bit bigger in the screen and moves center. And then, but if you're on a multiple FaceTime, I don't know how many of your people take, it's my turn to speak now. And like, so it's just like all the time. It is not.
Like,
if you can watch,
thought it was a good
if you
idea.
love multiple FaceTime, or if you know a fix to turn that off, can you comment in the YouTube comments and just let us know that, oh, I love it. Or you can say you hate it too.
If you
or
love
if you know
it,
how to
please
fix
comment
it.
so we can block you.
If you know how to fix it, because I did
What the heck
search.
is wrong with-
Anyways, really bad. FaceTime,
yeah.
multiple FaceTime is not good.
No, but again, that goes back to the idea of not every behavior that you have to put into practice is going to be an exact replacement for the frustration that you have.
Right.
It just might be, let me create a healthier habit or engage in a pattern. And like you said, most of the time you don't feel like it. And this is people like, I don't feel like it.
Right.
Now, you don't have to, now the danger is you could live in a punishing world. Okay. So I actually woke up on my own today. Normally my alarm sounds like, of like
that would be a
rattling
dog
of a
if you're
cage.
that's not a new iPhone sound right there.
And so I've got this, like, I have a very specific window of time of when I can get up, work out, knowing I have to eat breakfast, shower, and then get on a call. And if that window passes, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And I was like, man, it is phenomenal weather outside. I'm really enjoying sitting on this back porch, the dog's being okay on the back porch. Man, I just want to keep reading the Bible. Like I want to go a couple extra chapters in my plan. And that was how I was feeling in the moment. So we're not ever saying feelings are evil.
Right.
But when feelings are directing you away from following God, that's when you have to say, wait a minute, why am I engaged in this? Why am I following this when I know that there's a truth? I think I said this last week, or maybe it was this week, I can't remember, but you can't stop your feelings. What we want to try to do is create a fence around them, a border around them that prevents them from going,
yeah.
oh, it was, okay,
Yeah.
into going into ungodly, unhelpful places.
Right.
So I just think that we're having to really evaluate ourselves. Why, like, this kind of goes back to your original question, but like, why am I reacting like that? What is our friend Seth Trimmer always says, the issue is never the issue. And that's how he would shake his head like this.
Just like that.
It's just never that the issue is the issue. Okay.
That's pretty
That was
good.
just for
That's
you,
very,
Hillary.
very good.
And so if that's not the issue, what is the issue? Oh, I'm frustrated. I can't be at church right now preaching. Okay. But what's the real issue? Oh, do I have a tendency towards performance-based evaluation of myself? Yes. Well, even if I was at church, would I find a different way to be still feeling that? Yes. Okay. So let me focus on that rather than just trying to find a crowd of people to be in front of, because that's not going to address the issue. That's just going to satiate the kind of the fruit of it rather than actually dealing with a healthy, trying to create a more healthy root underneath it.
I think that it's been this. I think that this particular message fits so perfectly in the idea of spring cleaning, because I think we have this heightened sense of the people around us, if you live alone and you're still working. I was talking to a friend this weekend who lives alone, and they were talking about how their coworkers and the attitudes and the disposition of their coworkers has even changed and adjusted. She's like, I don't know how to tell them that, like, hey, you're really frustrating to work with right now. And then, like, but it's because when you are around people, especially if you have the opportunity to be around people face to face in a workplace, it's just new and different, and you're seeing things differently and in a new perspective. And so you do have this idea of feelings and the way people react. Sometimes we don't talk about like how our feelings are the way that we react to things, and other people are seeing that and hearing that this comes to this idea of, how do I react? How do I respond to people? How do my feelings dictate the way that I enter a room, or I get on a Zoom call, or I write this email, or I do these things? Because in this sense, this is all heightened everywhere. So people are really starting to see the feelings of all of us in these times kind of come to the surface much more and much quicker than they have in the past. It was much easier for us to hide feelings when we were hopping from this job to this appointment to this mom PTA meeting to that thing. Like, things are crazy. Like, you're always hopping. And now that things have kind of slowed down, we see that it has
now it's like,
just come up
crazy.
to the surface.
I'm crazy.
Right.
I don't know. I thought that was funnier, but all right, never mind. Right. Yes. And I think that's what we're as we continually, press into this, I think the idea of, okay, what have I left undealt with?
Right.
Why do I feel this way? The more you can name those feelings, that's one of the things professionals will tell you is you got to be able to name the feelings. What do you feel? I don't know. The more you say, I don't know, the more you're just going to be subject to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this shame? Is this disappointment? Is it missing out? Again, this is why you talked about personality tests. One of the things that the Enneagram does talk about is not just the behaviors, because again, not just what behaviors were taking place, but why are we doing that? And the more you can understand the way the Enneagram would say your core fear and motivation, I think whether you want to do that through the Enneagram or therapy or, Instagram posts or whatever it would be, the more you understand not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it, I think gives you a better chance to be able to control why you're doing it, or at least direct that with purpose and intentionality.
And there's something to be said about when you can identify it and you can talk about it and you bring things. I tell, nothing good happens in the dark is just a family rule. And when you can bring things to the light, it's not something to be ashamed of. Like, when you have, we all have areas that we're growing, and we all have things that we're like, I'm not great in the way that I deal with my guilt mentality, or, my performance anxiety, or these types of things. When you can identify it and you can talk about it and you can really pray through it and find some of these things, you're going to find freedom and you're going to find the ways to grow in that so much faster than if you just continually go, I'll deal with it later. It's not a big deal. I don't even know I don't know why I feel this way. I don't care. It's just, I'll get over it. I'll move on, blah, 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 blah. That's maybe my biggest thing there. Like, get over it. We'll move on. Like, and not be able to say it, because when you can say it, when you can bring it into the light and you can work through it, man, the freedom on the other side of it is so great. And your actions, your thoughts, everything, when it all becomes lined and you're really pursuing the ideals that God has for us, such complete freedom and fullness will you find in that.
And part of this is even the challenge to make sure that people are trying to grow and to change. That was part of the Fix Your Thoughts of, before people even get into the patterns and habits, they've engaged in these ways where they say, this is how I am, this is how I think. And there's a difference between saying, this is my default, this is my kind of, this is my factory settings of the way that I would view things. That's good to understand. But the reason that you want to understand those is so you know how to grow in response to those.
Right.
Not so you can simply throw your hands up and say, this is my factory defaults.
Yeah.
But how do I change and grow as a result of those things? And that's where, to quote every therapist and Enneagram coach ever, that's where you have to do the work. Because as much as we can talk in generalities, then you have to start thinking about, how do I live and act? How do I respond? What are my environmental triggers? So, do you have anything else?
Just the idea.
Sorry, we're just so used to filming like 7-minute videos. I'm like,
we're
oh my god!
Wow, we've been out here forever. There is that great, like you just said, a therapist will tell you that that's where you get to do the work, and a lot of this stuff, like as you're reading through your Bible, as you're done, you probably are going to unearth stuff that is a lot deeper than simply, hey, I just have to stop telling myself this lie about myself.
Yeah.
Some of it, and that is completely and totally an acceptable thing, and I hope that through the growth and through you learning, you go, hey, this is something that I need some accountability in. This is something that I need some deeper help than just a Bible verse on the mirror or whatever it is. And I think that if you find yourself in that place, that's a good place to be in, and it's totally an acceptable place. And we do have resources. So I don't want to leave this and be like, if you're getting to a place where you're like, I don't know how to fight this, I don't know how to get past this, and you want something, please say something. You send us an email. Update. Thank you. I was like, updates at Trinity New Life. Nope. Yeah, podcast at trinitynewlife.com. We can get you some resources too. So.
Yeah, whether it be discipleship or just spiritual confessions, pastoral care, but it then starts really diving down into where people are specifically.
Yep.
So, all right, well, that's our return to Beyond Sunday. Again, you're watching this on Tuesday, so tomorrow night, New Life students on Wednesday. May 7th will be our next live prayer meeting. That's actually the National Day of Prayer. And then this Saturday, lead team in the morning and then evening will be split up, are going to be out praying, handing out New Life Kids stuff, drive-through communion. So you can come see us from 9 to 11 and then 4 to 6. And then on Sunday, we've got our 3 morning services and a brand new service time of 7:30. All you parents who are trying to keep your kids wrangled during the morning and it's impossible, try to put one closer to a quiet time or maybe after bedtime so you can lock in with them.
Yeah, we did. Guys, that's just for you parents out there.
Trinity New Life on Instagram, Facebook, and podcast at Trinity New Life. If you have any questions, have a wonderful week. We'll see you online.
Yeah, somewhere. Bye, everyone. Bye.